Hello, hi, I'm Jennifer. I thought when I was starting over in my late 50s that I was dealing with the ending, but now I realize that I was just getting started. These are the mindset shifts that help me adjust to what was a scary situation at the time, but I got through it, and let me share these with you. So, the moment that I realized that I had changes to make was when I found myself on my own. And it was a traumatic experience that I was no longer in the long term relationship that I had been in for a few decades. And now I had to deal with everything, basically starting over, seeing it with new eyes, realizing that, all the decisions were mine. It was me on the line, and it was time to take responsibility for moving forward. And it was so many areas in my life, right? It was I had children, although they were out of the house at that point, but one in her late teens and one in her early 20s. And I also had, finances, also, housing. I we owned a house together, and it was obviously more than I needed. Um, so yes, many decisions on many levels, and I think, of course, the hardest part is to just unlearn all those habits that I had for so long, right? Where you're seeing yourself as a couple, you're making decisions as a couple, you're always taking the other person into consideration, you're thinking the things I want to do, I'm going to get to later. And now it was good but bad, right? That I could start to plan to do the things I wanted, but that was, a little bit scary. I guess it's not the best word, but it really is, just because it makes you feel kind of vulnerable. So the first mindset shift that I used to be able to, make those changes in my late 50s and look ahead toward retirement, first of all, there was prioritizing my mental and physical health. So for the mental health, in the morning, when I wake up, I try to do some type of a little bit of gratitude. I personally wake up very sleepy. I'm not a morning person. And you know how when you wake up, those thoughts of what happened yesterday or problems you need to deal with try to make their way into your mind. So since I'm pretty sleepy, I'm pretty successful at pushing that out of the way and making myself focus on just happy to wake up, happy in my comfortable bed, putting my feet on the floor, starting my day. So I do try to start that way. And then when I'm brushing my teeth and getting ready, I always put on a YouTube in the background, not one that I really watch, but one that I listen to with like affirmations or, Rampage, or sometimes like a meditation with pretty music, something that has the positive wording in the background. And I've listened to some of those hundreds of times, but depending on the day, I hear different things, and I'll tune in and tune out. But it's much better than, letting my mind wander into, places I would not really want to start my day with, right? So that has been important to me for quite a while. And the other thing is physical exercise. I try to get out in the morning and do I do this tiny little run, about 5 minutes. But it's good because I'm outside, I'm breathing the fresh air, I'm seeing the nature, and that's always been a good way to get my day started, except when it rains. And then I try to take a walk in the evening, kind of the same type of thing after dinner, kind of help with the digestion, and also, get back out into nature and a little bit of stretch, I guess. So those two things became a big priority because I'm starting to focus on myself, right? And we feel a lot more energy when, we've got our mindset in the right place and we're getting enough exercise so that we're not dragging around. It feels good. It feels good to be making good choices in both those directions, I guess. So the second thing that I started doing after my late 50s was speaking more from my heart. That I've always been a listener. I listen to people a lot. And I'm not, I know, hard to believe, right? I'm not much of a talker. Maybe it is evident, I don't know. But I generally am not a talker. But when I do talk, I do try to connect with people, and I do really try to speak from my heart, to be authentic, especially then I'm on my own. When I meet people and when I'm interacting, I think we don't want to waste time. By the time we're this age, we don't want to waste time saying things that are hurtful or, not important. I think it's just, I guess it's a value that has been becoming more important to me, that I treat everyone as a potential friend, right? And that I listen to them, and that when I do talk to them, even if it's a 2-minute conversation, I want to unapologetically be myself. Maybe sometimes I'm saying something that's maybe a little controversial, right? Or maybe not the way somebody else is viewing it, but maybe it's a good thing, right? We don't want to always just say what people want to hear. So that's kind of number 2. And then number 3 is setting goals. Setting goals has always been important to me, but I think that now they're getting a little more crystal clear, and I totally believe in trying to set goals daily, and then weekly. I have calendars that I write things on. I have lists on my phone, so short-term goals, long-term goals, and making some exciting goals, making some goals that you think, that I thought that I couldn't get to, that you might have been putting off too. Take a look at making it work. And there are lots of different ways to make these things work. And I guess it kind of goes without saying that the goals are personal goals, because now I personally am on my own. So those goals are things that I want to achieve, and it's good for me to stretch myself, to set some goals that are a little bit out of reach so that I do make that effort. So I hope that's something that you would be able to do too. I think it's definitely rewarding and worthwhile. So if you're ready to reinvent your retirement, the same as I am continually reinventing mine, then I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe. So in the next video, we're going to talk about money and cash flow freedom and how that plays into our goals in retirement. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Stay positive, and thank you so much for watching my video.